Good morning, everybody, and happy Tuesday. Welcome to Thoughts and Coffee. I am back for this week, and then I'm going to be off for the next couple of weeks. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey. I am the founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain, as well as the host of Blended, which is the newest conversation in diversity and inclusion. And I am super happy to be here with you today. Last week, I had to take Tuesday off. I'm having a bit of an issue with my ear, and I fly out to the UK tomorrow. So hopefully it's going to be okay by tomorrow, but I guess we'll see. And Audrey was gracious enough to host last week, and I think she did an amazing, amazing job. And Audrey is also going to be the host for the next couple of weeks while I'm in the UK as well. So let's get today started. What are we talking about today? So we are talking about our newest episode. So we've got our newest episode that came out yesterday, and I was talking to Rajul, the CEO at Zip, and they are transforming procurement. If you haven't heard of them and you haven't heard of what they're doing, you need to go and check them out, or at least go and check out this episode. So I don't know if you guys know this, but we're not only releasing all of our podcast episodes in audio format across Apple and Spotify and our new website, but we're also putting out the episodes in video format on the Let's Talk Supply Chain YouTube page. So if you haven't gone to check it out, go and check it out, because that is where we are going to be featuring all of our episodes in video format. And I can't wait for you guys to check it out. What else is happening? We have Blended. Oh, last week we released an episode of Blended. It was episode 10. I can't believe we are at episode 10 already. Blended has been an amazing, amazing place for people to come together from all different walks of life to talk about different diversity and inclusion topics. And last week we released an episode about transgender inclusion. Brian Glick was part of that episode. Lori Benson was part of that episode, and so many more. And we really talked about what it is to be an ally and what it means to have your pronouns actually, and how that actually supports the transgender community. So if you didn't check it out, go and check that out. It's called The Blended Podcast, and it's got its own Apple and Spotify account. So go and check that out as soon as you can. And then we've got some brand new live shows. So coming up on August 6th, Eric Johnson is going to host his own show for Let's Talk Supply Chain, and it's called Log Tech Live. He's going to be talking all about supply chain technology, what's happening in the market, and it's just going to be a great time. It's sponsored by Chain.io, and it's going to be happening the first Friday of every single month. So as you can see, we are building out our live shows, and we've got so many more that we are going to be announcing over the next month or so that I cannot wait to share with you. So we've got Coming in Hot with Abby Baird, and that one happens the third Thursday of every single month. We've got Log Tech Live with Eric Johnson. Of course, we've got Thoughts and Coffee every Tuesday morning, and then we've got a few more that are coming out that I can't wait to share with you. All right, so that's everything that's been happening with Let's Talk Supply Chain. We have got a lot of people saying good morning and good afternoon and good evening, and we're going to get to you in just a minute, but I want to bring up my co-host for today. So Audrey, are you ready? Hello.
I'm ready. I'm here.
How are you?
Oh, a little tired, as I think most shippers are at the moment. It's July, which is usually a busy season, but, as we'll talk about today, you'll find out just how busy it is.
It is true. It is true. So why don't you tell everybody, why don't you give an introduction? Tell everybody who you are and what you do. And you know what? Thank you so much for hosting last week. You really stepped up when I needed some help, because I was all hopped up on antibiotics and trying to get this ear thing all cleared up. I would not have been a good host last week.
It would have been a very interesting show. It was a very interesting show. It was a very interesting show last week. So if you didn't see it, of course, you can always catch the recording. So we had a lot of fun. But I'm Audrey. I'm here in Toronto, a very dark and rainy Toronto today. It's very rainy. And I am a logistics and custom specialist in-house at Orchard Custom Beauty, and we are a private labeling business-to-business manufacturer of cosmetics, beauty accessories, and bath tools. And we work with countries in, I don't know, over 16 countries around the world. So, just a few locations to make our goods and deliver our goods. So that's a bit about me.
Awesome. I totally forgot about my personal LinkedIn page, so I'm just pulling that up now.
You got to load that up.
I know. We've got a few people on here. We've got Peter that says, good morning, but beautiful day to be in supply chain. I love that. Love that. Christina says, good morning. Francois says, hello. That was an awesome episode. Audrey, you've got some fans out there. What?
Yay.
Sam and Rhonda and Ram are all over on my personal LinkedIn. Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. We are just about to get into it. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about, what are we going to start with? We are talking about the question of the week.
Yes.
Right? And the question of the week was, so that's what we're doing now, right? I totally forgot. We are with the question of the week, instead of being ahead of ourselves, because we ask the question of the week every single Wednesday morning across our social media, we are now going to be behind. So we're going to be talking about the question of the week from last week, and we're going to be talking all about what everybody has commented as well. So the question of the week that happened last week was, what's the one thing that makes you the most proud? And we had some great answers to this. Audrey, do you want to kick it off? What is something that makes you proud?
Ooh, something that makes me proud. The relationships that I have. I've worked hard to have them. My CITP designation.
Yes, that's a good one.
And helping my teammates, being able to answer their questions and keep them moving. And that's sort of a skill I think I've developed.
I'm just trying to pull it up now because I did not. Here we go. Wow, we got 31 comments on this one. So Lena says, having introduced the concept of podcasts to the maritime industry. That's what she is proud of. Amy says, making the huge career change from recruiting to marketing and graphic design. Tim Ingram, my sons, they're great people and fun to be around. Lisa says, how our 3 sons have grown into amazing young men. Rhonda, my daughter, hands down. Love that. Everybody was all about family last week, which I really, really liked. Anthony was talking about his daughter. Nancy was talking about when somebody tells me that I made a difference. And Nick Romer was talking about marrying his best friend and his son and so many different things. We had some really, really, really great answers to this one.
Yeah.
What did you think?
No, I thought the same. Like, it was nice to see everybody. It's not, it's work related because it's part of you and you bring yourself to work. But people really did go into sort of non goal or target kind of comments. So
it's true. Yeah. It's true. And Rhonda, I see you there. Hope you're all healed up. I definitely am not. My ear is still plugged. We're not sure what's happened. I've tried a hairdryer. I've tried oil. I've tried drops. I've tried steam.
There was a cup and a leaning.
Yes, there was a cup. I tried. I don't know if you guys have tried this when you've been on an airplane, but they give you a really, really hot towel and they put it into a styrofoam cup and then you put it up to your ear and it kind of alleviates all the pressure. But that didn't help either. I think I did it 7 times over the weekend. And I swear, with every single time that I did it, I was like, this is the moment. It is going to open up. I've been so hopeful for the last couple of days.
I've been sending you good vibes and like nothing seems to work, right?
Nothing is working right now. Nothing. All right, let's get to our Thoughts and Coffee post. So the Thoughts and Coffee post on Sunday was talking about be kind to your mind. And we talk about this all the time when it comes to mindset, right? We all need to be a little bit more like treating yourself like you would treat your friend. How would you talk to your friend when they're having a bad day or when they're having bad thoughts? So, talking to yourself in the way that you would talk to your best friend is something that, I've been hearing a lot more lately. And so, this post actually really resonated with me because it really talks about how being kind to your mind is something that's really going to get you through, some of the worst things that you think about of yourself and that inner critic. So some of the things that we talked about in helping with that is practicing gratitude, actively reminding yourself of your accomplishments, which is a huge one, right? We accomplish something and then we move on to the next one.
Yes.
Putting things into perspective, whatever you're worried about may not be as big of an issue as your mind is making it out to be. That is true, right? I don't know about you, but I was always told the saying about, is this the hill you want to die on? Right? Like, is this that big of an issue? And then the last one is remember you are worthy of kindness you show yourself, which is a huge one, right? Like I said, with treating yourself like you're your best friend. I don't know. I really, really like this one. What did you think?
No, I think it really resonated for me because that's an area that I struggled with. And I don't think I realized that, um, you know, how harsh I could be to myself. Um,
Yes.
so I'll say I've said certain things and, to my friends or, maybe to my coworkers, and they're like, it really wasn't that bad. Or, you're not an awful person. Like, this is just a mistake.
Mhm.
And I think, yeah, sometimes I get really sort of embedded and enmeshed in what's happening. And I think finding that detachment, either by writing things down, like, a lot of people use that gratitude journal, or even just by writing down the negative thoughts and trying to sort of flip them, or find the opposite. There's lots of tools that I think can help. And I think I've said before on Thoughts and Coffee that I do a bit of pep talk. Sometimes it's just I stand in the mirror and it's like, you can do this, like you can do hard things. And, so, whatever works for people. But I think, for more than we realize it, this kind of post would resonate with people.
I am loving your lipstick and your earrings, just I have to say. I don't know if anybody else in the audience is loving this too, but I
Yeah.
am loving the lipstick and the earrings. Good job.
When you're this tired, you have to go big.
So I want to say a big shout out to Lance. He is watching on my personal LinkedIn from
Aw.
Colorado. And Samuel from Panama. Hello. We've got Demo. Demo is joining us
Is here.
as well. Hello. He's just jumping in for a second.
Yeah,
And
he's busy.
Andrea, good morning from Tijuana. Thank you guys all for joining us. That is awesome.
It always amazes me what, like, a global, I saw earlier when we got started, it's like South Africa, India, and you're like, oh, wow, okay.
Egypt. I know we're going global, people. I mean, supply chain is global, right? So Peter is loving your earrings and the matching lipstick. Just by the way.
Well, these are Canadian Indigenous designer Warren Stephen Scott. So I just got them last month. So
I'm waiting for my t-shirt. I ordered a t-shirt that I can't remember what it says, but I was going to wear it on Thoughts and Coffee when I get it. So I will definitely do that and show some support as well. One of the things that I do want to bring up is we are doing a giveaway at the end of every single month for the person that is engaging the most, not only with our live shows, but also with the Let's Talk Supply Chain posts. So make sure that you are engaging with everything that we're doing. Peter was our winner last month, and he got the Let's Talk Supply Chain coffee mug, right?
Yeah.
So if you want one of these, make sure to go and comment, engage, share our posts. We'd love to hear from you anyways, but I also want to see you win a mug from Let's Talk Supply Chain. So can't wait to see what everybody's got to say. All right. We need to start talking about supply chain. I don't know what we're doing this morning, but we definitely need to oh, there you go. See, Rhonda loves it too. First thing I noticed was Audrey's bright beauty red colorful self today. I love it. Love it. And Peter says he uses his mug every single day. Thanks, Peter.
Which is more incentive to win.
That's right. That's right. That's
one mug. Get rid of the rest of them.
Peter should go for Congress. That's going to be a little hard because he's Canadian, I think. But
no, there's a Canadian in Congress, though. You can do it.
Well, there is? Oh, interesting. Okay, Rhonda, you might be onto something. Anyway, All right, let's talk about supply chain. So our first article today is actually based on somebody that I know quite well. He's a really, really good friend of mine. He's in the pallet industry. He owns a pallet company out of Cobourg, Ontario. And we've just shared the article in the comments over on the Let's Talk Supply Chain LinkedIn. I will be sharing the links to the articles to my personal LinkedIn once we wrap the show. And the question that I have for you while we are talking about this particular topic is, do you have a pallet program in place at your business? And the reason why I'm asking that is because pallet companies right now are running flat out. Like you can see in the title of this article. I mean, it's just crazy. Not only have we seen an increase in pricing in lumber, but excuse me, he's talking about even the machines that they use to create the pallets. There's a 20-month delay in getting those machines as well. And so pallets really are gold right now. And some of the things that they talk about in this article are just mind blowing, like not even things that I would have thought about. He's also struggling with labor shortage as well. So not only do we have a lack of wood, a shortage of wood, the price is going up. There's a labor shortage in the pallet market, and the machines are taking 20 months. So Audrey, when you read this, what did you think?
Well, I mean, not gonna lie, most of us don't think of pallet manufacturer as a top job. You know, like so many things when you get into this industry, you don't realize you're like, oh, that's a job and someone does it, huh? You know, it's not really, some of the jobs that are kind of vital to our economy aren't necessarily advertised. And in this article, it said Canada had about 500 pallet manufacturers, and nearly all of them are small businesses employing fewer than 70 people. So potentially you're getting these jobs through sort of word of mouth, or, you know, if you know that one manufacturers down the street from you, you might apply. But so there's a bit of a gap there too in you know, the talent pool. And the other thing was, yeah, the numbers. I mean, it's just, I mean, we use pallets all the time, and I guess we just kind of take it for granted that they're there and available. And we do, to answer the question, we do a combined, you know, so most of us are on the CHEP pallet program because CHEP pallets are, you know, those blue pallets are usually required by a lot of the larger retailers. Yeah. You know, it's just part of the delivery requirements. And then the rest of us just use whatever junk's lying around. But this isn't just a North American issue. When Brexit happened in the UK, we got word that pallet prices were going up because before Brexit, they didn't need to meet ISPM 15 standards and be heat treated and fumigated between Europe and the UK. This is my favorite little anecdote. So, you know, why you heat treat the wood is so that the bugs don't get in it.
Right.
Right.
But we didn't think about this before Brexit?
Well, they didn't care because, I mean, it was the same community, but now that it's Brexit, all of a sudden the bugs have to stop. Like, so December 31st, insect vacations from the EU to UK, no problem. January 2nd, absolutely not cut off. So pallets, I mean, it's fascinating.
Well, and so Rhonda says, I noticed them in ditches behind grocery stores.
Don't they know that they're diamonds?
I know. I mean, somebody's got to go and pick those up and put them back in rotation. I mean, and one of the reasons why I focused on that one was because some of what they're talking about in this particular article is around groceries. So what's happening is farmers that, you know, have potatoes or onions, they have to ship those potatoes and onions into a grocery store. And that grocery store chain has particular pallets that they want used to be able to deliver those products into the stores. Well, right now, because of the shortage, there's a lot of produce that's being rotted because their customers, the grocery stores, aren't allowing for other pallets to bring those potatoes and onions into the stores because they're not being flexible in the fact that we have this huge issue. And so it's really affecting farmers. It's really affecting grocery stores. And so, Rhonda, when you talk about them being ditched behind grocery stores, it is really, really sad because at the beginning of the chain, there's a lot of product that is actually rotting because they can't deliver the product into the stores because they don't have the right pallets. The other thing that I thought was interesting, so they talk about pallets touching 90% of goods.
Yeah.
which is not necessarily surprising, but it was a nice stat I thought to read.
Yeah.
And then in 2020, Sean was talking about how a wooden rail car cost him $30,000, and now it's costing him $149,000, and he ships three rail cars, I guess, of pallets a day, which, from a manufacturing standpoint, I mean, that's just crazy. And BJ talks about Pico pallets offering plastic pallets. So Pico, it's
Mhm.
interesting that you mentioned that. In this article, Pico is actually mentioned and they're quoted in a couple of different instances. So I would highly recommend that you go and read this article because it's very eye-opening about the pallet industry. All right. So, what is our next one? Our next one is about Levi's. So, the interesting thing about this article is that Levi's would not be quoted for the article, but Supply Chain Dive wrote this whole article about the Levi's supply chain, which I thought was really cool. So the question that I have for the audience right now is, are you still seeing challenges at Long Beach? Because this particular article is saying that there's still a lot of challenges at Long Beach. And I thought it was actually getting better. So it kind of surprised me a little bit. They also talk about how much supply chain issues have cost Levi's, and it's in the $7 to $8 million range. Which, I mean, if you think about the size of Levi's and then you think about, other companies that are the same size and you think about how much this is costing business, I mean, it's just crazy. But the solutions that they're coming up with and the solutions that they're talking about in this article, number one is air freight. And Audrey, I want you to comment on this because, I mean, the fact that they're going to switch to air freight, I don't know actually alleviates the problem because, as far as I know, capacity is still an issue. And then the other thing that they talked about is AI driven forecasting.
Yeah.
So they're investing in AI driven forecasting. And what they found is that it's actually helping their supply chain, I think and they've only just implemented it, I think by like 5% or something like that. Anyway, what did you think?
I thought this was great. It's a great example of sort of creative problem solving, and recognizing someone being able to recognize what their current costs are and what the potential change to cost is. And maybe that's, this AI tool is helping them. And I think it's exciting to see this kind of log tech actually in action.
Yeah.
Especially around, like a garment product where, I'm sure I've talked about a little bit about like pre-ordering and other ways to manage like small fashion industry, but I mean, Levi's is big. We are still seeing delays at Long Beach. It's not the same pile up of vessels. What we are having issues with is getting any containers to be moved inland into the United States. So everything can go to LA, things can go to New York, but the carriers don't want you to take that container by rail into Texas. And then, Chicago's having rail issues now. Texas is having rail issues. Everybody's having these rail issues or intermodal things. So that's, even if it's not caused a backup yet,
Yeah.
right? Because warehouses in Los Angeles are sort of absorbing everything. Even if it hasn't caused a backup yet, like if you're someone like Levi's supply chain manager, who's probably been in this job a little bit, you're like, I can see that getting into September and October, like it's just going to build it up and become an issue again. And I've seen a couple of other people as well. They're going that East Coast route, even to bring goods into Canada and bond by truck. So just really using the mode options that are available to them in creative ways. So I thought this was really interesting from Levi's. Obviously, they didn't even comment about it. Someone, the article author dug into it and revealed the secrets. So now all of us are going to do this because it seems to work. And yeah, air capacity. I mean, if you can afford it, you can do it. The markup in fashion is pretty high. So for most of us, we see these numbers like, oh, you're going to spend $3 million on air shipping. That's crazy. But then when you break it out per pair of jeans, it's probably 7 cents or something a unit. It's not going to be noticeable to them as much as not having denim in the stores and no customers to buy it. That's going to hit them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, if you think about, supply chain issues costing Levi's $7 to $8 million, I mean, what is the $3 million that they're paying on air freight?
Yeah.
I think the other interesting thing to note from this article is that They actually reduced their manufacturing in China. So in 2017, they did 16% of their manufacturing in China. In 2019, they were down to 2%. And they're still having these supply chain issues. So we're talking about, manufacturing potentially moving right out of China. Now, I don't know where they moved their manufacturing to. The article doesn't actually state that, and I didn't do any research.
But if they're shipping to East Coast, it's likely still Southeast Asia. So they moved their sewing into Cambodia or Vietnam, those areas. But they're probably still getting a bit of their raw material in from China.
Yeah. So, we talk about moving manufacturing. They moved manufacturing back in 2019, and they're still having supply chain issues that are costing them $7 to $8 million. So I thought that was a really interesting fact. I do want to say hi to Liz and Larry, who are over on my personal page.
Larry.
Thank you guys for joining us. Larry says the giveaway is awesome. We've got Marion as well, and we've also got somebody else from South Africa as well. And Vishal just joined us as well. Okay, we've got one more article. So what are we talking about today? I really wanted to highlight this article. Peter has given me the 5-minute warning. So we've got this. Okay, so this last article is around the U.S. and talking about the decision that Congress made, I believe it was last week or the week before, about how they're going to bring in new legislation around supply chain. So my question to you is, will the new legislation work? And so what I'm reading in this article is that a shipper has gone in front of Congress and said that their costs have gone up 30 to 75%, and they're going to have to increase their prices to the end consumer by that much. They're talking about how a very big trucking company right now is having a hard time filling 2,000 driver positions on a daily basis. So it's not just ocean and air. They're feeling it really, really badly on trucking. And so the legislation actually calls for fines on unreasonable rates. And it's also putting into place that steamship lines must take export containers instead of just empty containers going back to Asia. I thought this was really interesting. One big question that I have right now is, what's an unreasonable rate? Because from what I'm seeing, they're not really determining what that looks like. So I think we're still back in the same boat.
I would suggest, and I posted about it on Twitter, that the current rate, okay, so your base rate now, it's like $300 per CBM for LCL and at least $22,000 for FCL. And then they charge you about 14 GRI fees, LCL surcharge because you're choosing LCL instead of FCL, even though there's no FCL available. And they're talking about making shippers pay a decarbonization fee into the new year. And you're like, with all the money I've just given you over the past 6 months, I'm sure you're able to solve decarbonization all on your own. So why do I have to pay for it? But it's those little, I was having this conversation actually with Peter Tershwell of JOC, and it's like, it's not so much the flat rate, it's the, in a year of so much scarcity and demand and issues, that you would charge like $8 GRI for June 15th, $30 GRI for July 30th or July 1st, July 15th, a new GRI. Like, really? You're going to add $8, $30, all of those fees? That's what drives us crazy as a shipper. And I see Peter's like, I see Peter's comment, and I don't think it's a lone comment from BCOs in the market right now.
Well, I just want them to actually write out what unreasonable means, because that word unreasonable rates, it's very vague and it doesn't do anything. So if we're going to write legislation around this and we're going to hold people accountable, which I think I saw an article on demurrage, right? Are they not holding people accountable on demurrage and storage now as well? Yeah,
demurrage is an interesting one because it is actually it's tactical. It's like that's something you can do that it's like it's pretty straightforward if you're being charged, if you're not being charged, if it's your fault or if it's not your fault. Because people were sort of being like, well, there's no option to move it, but I'm being stuck paying I'm stuck paying this charge, even though there's literally no rail or truck or whatever option. So I think that one's a little bit easier to target in on. It is interesting to see the as an outsider, as a Canadian, to see the U.S. kind of jump back into this, into the fray of supply chain. Even one of their senators made the comment like, control over supply chains has fallen into the hands of fewer countries, most notably China. And you're like, China really just took advantage of gaps that the rest of us were leaving, either by not having legislation or by not working together globally, maybe through some of the mechanisms like the WTO or, the IMO or these organizations. So, but I think we're out of time.
Honestly, it's nice to see some government getting involved. I mean, time will tell to see what it's actually going to do and how it's going to help. Yeah. But at least they're doing that. So we have come to our time, Peter. I am like 20 seconds over. I know. I just want to let you guys know how much I appreciate you for joining us today. I am going to be away for the next couple of weeks, and I am turning the reins over to Miss Audrey Ross to host this show for us, and she's going to do an amazing job. She did an amazing job last week. She's going to do an amazing job in the next couple of weeks as well. So I'd like to see and hope that you guys come back and show us the love just as much as you have done today. Thank you so much for everybody for joining us today. I'm going to head over to my personal LinkedIn page and put in the articles so that everybody has a chance to go and take a look. Audrey, thanks so much for today. Thanks so much for hosting for the next couple of weeks, and I will see you guys in about 3 weeks.